Hello and welcome to Gas City Gaming's Aether Revolt set review. In this video we'll be taking a look at all the red cards in the set. Just a little preface to this one again, I'm not on the Pro Tour, I'm not top 8 GPs around the world. These are what I think of these cards. For the majority of this we'll be talking about a limited format, whether it's draft or sealed, how good these cards will be in that. If I think it's good enough to make it into standard or further even, I'll bring that up as the card comes, but for the most part, we're going to be talking about drafts, sealed formats, like your pre-release kind of stuff, if you played in one of those. So let's get right to it. Our first card right there is Aether Chaser. It is a generic mana and a red for a common creature. It's a human artificer, and it's a 2/1. It has first strike, and when Aether Chaser enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy. When it attacks, you may pay 2 energy. If you do, create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token. This is the red one of these cycles. We've been through the first 3 already. Being red, the fact that this is first strike is really, really good. I would have even expected it to do like a 1/1 with haste, but I like the 2/1 first strike better. Because it's a 2/1, normally if you saw 1 toughness, you'd be like, okay, it's going to die to a servo, it's going to die to any 1x, right? Because the first strike, that really turns it around. It's going to trade up a lot of the times. It's going to get around some of the death touch creatures we saw in our black set review. Not only that, but this guy is made to attack. So this is going to be one of those ones where you're probably going to get that 1/1 token out of it, right? So then you can with that, usually red is one of the colors you tend to pair with vehicles. We'll see a really good red spell you should pair with a vehicle in a little bit. But so you can also use that 1/1 servo to either crew itself or just on its own to crew something, or to help crew something after that as well. But Aether Chaser, I'm really enjoy. Being a 2 mana, 2/1 first strike, it's a good card. Limited, definitely I would take a couple of these every day. I'm playing in limited, whether it's draft or sealed, not a problem there. Good aggressive card. I don't think it's quite pushed enough to get into standard. We'll see some cards that I think are later on, but definitely limited formats. Play this guy, pick him, play him, and have a good time. Chandras Revolution. It's 3 generic mana and a red for a common sorcery. It says Chandras Revolution deals 4 damage to target creature. Tap target land. That land doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step. So if your opponent's kind of land screwed, you know, they're splashing, you can tap down their single land that they splashed for. You can hold them off of it for a turn, plus usually kill a thing. Red very, very rarely gets a kill that. Just destroy target X, unless it's artifact. They do that well, but creatures, not so much. So deal 4 damage to target creature, though, as we've seen over some of the other cards, 4 damage, unless there's counters on something, will usually kill something. So I do like Chandras Revolution. You know, you play your 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, and they've played a couple of big-butted creatures, like maybe Thriving Ibex, 2/4 for energy, so then turn 4, you can play this, Killer Ibex, and get through with some of your aggressive creatures. So I do like Chandras Revolution. Don't think it's good enough to go anywhere, because when you get into standard, your possible removal spells just get huge. There's a number of cards you can use. The pool gets much, much bigger, and you can use much better removal spells, like playing red-black, use Unlicensed Disintegration, kill a thing, and maybe bolt somebody for 1 mana less than this. I'd rather do that. So not good enough to see standard, but happy to play a couple of these in any limited deck that I'm playing. So Destructive Tampering. Is 2 generic mana and a red for a common sorcery. It says choose 1, destroy target artifact, or creatures without flying can't block this turn. I do like this card. Playing one of these is something I could 100% get behind. Like I've said in the past, in this particular limited format, I really do think you can main deck just flat out artifact removal. At least one. And this would be the one I could play because it's versatile. You know, it lets you either kill their big artifact thing, their Gear Hulk if they have it, or any artifact creature that's in your way, or just all their guys on the ground can't block, and all of your creatures can swing in for damage. I've seen that end games before. Seismic Stomp ends games, right? Seismic Stomp is basically the bottom effect just on the card. Usually you didn't get the option of destroying an artifact with it. And I've seen that card win games before, so this guy certainly could as well. I do like Destructive Tampering. Play it as a one of. I wouldn't draft multiples unless you get no other removal. And if you don't get any other removal, then you're going to have a bad time. But Destructive Tampering, I like it. I would main board one. Even if your opponent doesn't have very many artifacts, I would keep it because of the second sentence on this card. The creatures out flying can't block. And maybe it does kill something worthwhile for killing, right? So I like Destructive Tampering. It's not, this is a middling card, right? This is not going to be your premier removal, hopefully, in your deck. But it's going to be a good, solid, versatile spell. You know, it's going to be one of your, say if you're playing 5 to 7 non-creature spells, this is going to be in the middle of the pack somewhere, right? And so, Destructive Tampering, okay card. Brawl Gear Smasher is 2 generic mana and a red for a common creature. That's a human warrior. It is a 2/3 and has tap, sacrifice an artifact. Brawl Gear Smasher deals 2 damage to each opponent. I keep bringing up this black-white enchantment. And when we get, if you haven't checked it out yet, I'm sure you know the one I'm talking about, where you get servos and kind of loop itself to scry one and get servos. If you can somehow like splash for this card in that deck, or splash for that card in a red-black deck or red-white deck, this guy and that card get along real well. You can shock your opponent for free every turn, which in 10 turns that means they're dead. You do that 3 to 5 times even, I'm happy with that value. Like I've said before, 3 mana for a 2/3 or a 3/2, it's fine rate. And the stuff you could potentially do with this guy, nothing but upside, so more than happy to play a copy of Brawl Gear Smasher. Could be real good depending on the deck you put him in, but I'm also just happy with the body, with the rate as well. So it's a good card, solid, and could be potentially real good. Enrage Giant is a 5 generic mana and a red for an uncommon creature that is a giant. Kind of looks like he has Jabba the Hutt face. Has Improvise. So if you're not sure what Improvise does, it is your artifacts can help cast this spell. Each artifact you tap after you're done activating mana ability pays for 1 generic mana. It is a 4/4 with trample and haste. A few times I did play red in one of my decks on pre-release weekend, and I had this guy, and there was at least 2 or 3 times where I got to play this guy for 4 mana on turn 4, and he just came out and foomp. That was roughly the noise it makes when you're foomp. Trample haste 4/4 on turn 4 is value, is just good. Playing it for 6 doesn't feel as nice, but the trample fact of this is real relevant. So your opponent can't chump it with servos or little guys, and 4 power and toughness in this set is big, right? So Enrage Giant is a really solid card. I am more than happy for this. Most times you're going to be paying hopefully 4, around 5. You're going to be paying less than 6 anyway most of the time. It's like I said, with mana reducing effects, or sorry, cost reducing effects like Delve, Cascade, those are really good. Sometimes they're broken, right? Like they had to ban Delve cards in Khan's block and Tarkir block. I don't think they're going to have to ban Improvise cards. I've never broken the form. I've never broken the meta before, but Enrage Giant, if you can get out there for cheaper, it just gets better. So imagine even later in the game, you tap a few artifacts, get Enrage Giant out there kind of cheaper, and also kill something. That seems like a good turn to me. But Enrage Giant, do like it. Good thing towards the top end of your curve to do with your manas. So I'm happy with Enrage Giant. I was happy when it killed people for me. Free Gem Regent is 4 generic mana and 2 red for a rare creature dragon. It's a 4/4 with Improvise and Flying, and also has a generic mana and a red to give Free Gem Regent, gets +2/+0 until end of turn. I like this card. If just like we talked about with Enrage Giant, if you can get this out there for 4 or 5 mana, a dragon limited is a dragon, right? It's a good card. I don't think this is where I want to be for my aggressive red decks and standard. I don't think it's quite there. But man, it's a really good card in limited. With Drafter Sealed, I would love this card. Draft a few artifacts around it to make it cheaper so you can cast it earlier than turn 6. And so then on turn 5, you're flying over for 8 potentially, right? That's just, you're having a good time at that point, really. So Limited environments, really love free gem regent. Past that, I just don't think it's quite there. If they had, see, I think putting haste on it would make it too good, because especially if you had, you know, turn 2, like turn 1 Thraben Inspector, turn 2 Servo Expedition, then you could turn 3 this, right? Because you go Plains, Mountain, you have your 2 servos, and you have your clue, there's 6 mana, you could turn 3 this, so you couldn't give it haste because of that, but that is a potential way to turn 3 this right now. Then turn 4, even potentially, you could be swinging for 8 in the air on turn 4, so that's in a standard environment, but I don't think it gets there. Frontline Rebel is 2 generic mana and a red for a 3/3, good stats, attacks each combat if able. So what this does is usually on turn 4, it's swinging for 3, and it will at least trade with something. You know, card for card. If nothing else, hopefully maybe they played some smaller stuff that this will either just kill or get in there for 3. I've played these cards in the past. I am happy playing them now. I was happy playing them then. It's kind of just, you shut your brain off. It's like when you go to watch a good movie, a good action movie. It doesn't have the best plot in the world, but you just go, you have a good time, you just know what you're doing when you're there. You just know what you're doing when you're playing Frontline Rebel. You tap them. Tap it, tap it, tap until it's dead. Right? Eventually it's going to run into a removal spell or a 4/4. That's just going to happen. But hopefully on its way it either did some damage or killed a couple of their creatures. But Frontline Rebel, always happy to play a copy or 2 of those. Gremlin Infestation, the red stab wound. So Gremlin Infestation says it's a 3 generic mana and a red for an uncommon enchantment aura. You enchant artifact. At the beginning of your end step, so if I play this card, it's the beginning of my end step, Gremlin Infestation deals 2 damage to enchanted artifact's controller. So example, I play this card on my opponent's artifact, I say go, on my end step, shocks them. Right? When enchanted artifact is put into a graveyard, create a 2/2 red gremlin creature token that I control. Because when it says create, it means the controller of this card puts a XX thing onto the battlefield. That's what create kind of translates down to. If you look at the Oracle text, it means the controller of this card puts on a 2/2 red gremlin creature token. This card is going to be real good because a lot of times what red has trouble doing is it gets so aggressive, it has trouble sometimes finishing games if it doesn't hit their big bombs, right? So what this does is this can easily do 6-8 damage to somebody. You put this on, you know, just one of their, like a mana rock or something of theirs, and it's doing 2. They have to find some way to get that off the field. Do they have to find a removal spell for their own artifact? Like their own art, they have to fragmentize their own thing? Are they going to have to do that? Like, are they going to have to find their sack outlet, or else this might kill them? Like, I've killed a number of people with stab wound in Ravnica Limited, and I feel like I never got any of these. I would have played these 100%. No more than a 1 of, because it is 4 mana, and it's like takes a few turns to do significant amounts of things. But I'll definitely include one of these in my deck and be happy about it. And I can see this killing people in limited Aether Revolt very, very easily. Draft a copy, sealed, play a copy. I wouldn't play too many because I don't want to start stacking them, because then if they do find their sack outlet, I just did nothing. But and some people have been iffy about this card, but look at this way: 4 mana. If this card just said sorcery speed, 4 mana, do 4 damage to target opponent, make a 2/2 gremlin, would you play it? I'd play it. If you're going to play Chandras Revolution, I would play this if it said that. So, Hungry Flames. 2 generic mana and a red for an uncommon instant that says Hungry Flames deals 3 damage to target creature and 2 damage to target player. Good card is good, so it's going to usually kill something or like combat trick something and shock them too. So I'm happy with that. Look at it this way: it's shock and the other card that I forget the name of, 2 mana, do 3 to a creature, stapled together on 1 card. That's good. I'll take it. Kill something, shock you. That's I would play multiples of these. I'd play 2 of these pretty easily in my draft deck, in my sealed deck. I'd be happy about it. Again, this is red's removal. Red's removal usually does damage to things. It doesn't just say kill that unless it's an artifact, like we saw. But both burning your opponent and killing their creatures, that's usually where red has the difficulty. What do I do? Do I go after their face, or do I go after their creatures because their creatures are going to kill me? This does both. I'm happy about Hungry Flames. I would pick it and play it and have fun. Indomitable Creativity. As an X, red, 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 is a mythic sorcery that says destroy X target artifacts and or creatures. For each permanent destroyed this way, its controller reveals cards from the top of his or her library until an artifact or creature card is revealed and exiles that card. Those players put the exiled cards onto the battlefield, then shuffle their libraries. Okay. You shouldn't be... If you're casting this on your opponent's stuff, you're behind. And you probably didn't help yourself. What you want to do, in my opinion, at least, what you want to do is, okay, you played some fabricate stuff, you have some implements you want to get rid of. Okay, I'm going to pay red, 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 XXX. I'm going to pay 3 and 3 red. Pay 6 mana to turn my 2 implements, my servo, into this creature, and this creature. That seems alright to me. That seems good. Like, I would play a copy of this to see how it did. I didn't get any of this. It doesn't mean like I didn't get any of this guy. But first of all, this art is amazing. I want to see a foil of this real bad in person. This art is amazing. Good job. Sorry, this is really low res. Your last name is Alexander. Durachenko Alexander? That's what I'm saying. Durachenko Alexander. Alexander Durachenko. Awesome job on this. Amazing art. I would love to see this in foil too. But what I want to see this is, I want to see what this can do, because I feel like it could be real good. Of course, there's always the magical Christmas land. You blow up your useless things and you hit 3 bombs. That's not often going to happen, but I want to do it where it improves my things, right? Because for 6 mana, I could potentially hit, 8 to 12 mana worth of spells, worth of creatures, and then you just shuffle the other stuff back. The other stuff doesn't get exiled. The other stuff doesn't go into your graveyard. The other stuff just shuffles back in. Seems all right. I don't think it's good enough for standard or any kind of other competitive, any kind of other constructed, because you'd have to construct your deck in such a way that when you sacked your things, you guaranteed you were going to get better. Because first of all, you have to guarantee that, okay, my weak stuff is out on the field, and then, bam, my next 3 cards or next 2 cards down are awesome creatures, right? And we don't have a brainstorm in the format to let us put stuff from our hand back on top, and we don't have that available to us right now. You could, but it just seems like a gamble. So it could be out there, but I'm not seeing it. It would just be a little bit too much, asking too much of the cards we have available to us right now to see standard. But I like it. I want to see this do well. I want to see it do well. I think people are underestimating it in limited, at least a little bit. I saw some people come out and like really hate on this card, like, why would you want to give your opponents all their better things, like kill their thing and they get another thing to replace it? It's like, to me, no, that's not how you use this. To me, I sacrifice my little stuff, or destroy X target artifacts or creatures. I destroy my little stuff and hopefully turn into bigger stuff. And my little implements, my little artifacts that were doing nothing, I destroy those and turn into at least some creatures, some blockers, whatever I need at the time, right? So, anyway, that was Indomitable Creativity. Limited, could have potential, but I don't, like I said, don't quite see it go anywhere in constructed. Invigorated Rampage is 1 generic mana and a red for an uncommon instant that says choose 1. Target creature gets +4/+0 and gains trample until end of turn, or 2 target creatures each get +2/+0 and gain trample until end of turn. This is real good. This is the red pump that we deserve. This doesn't give first strike that guarantees a kill. It gives trample that guarantees damage to come over top. I want to play this on my free jam regent to trample over the Thopter that's chumping me. I want to play this on my giant that has haste and trample already, but I want to give it +4/+0. I want to swing that 8 power into somebody. Or I want to play this on both and swing 6 power trample on each, right? And trample over for 6 to 8 damage, right? This, in any aggressive red decks, this is going to be a thing. So you're not going to be able to chump anymore with your Thraben Inspector. Your 1/2 is going to get trampled over for 4 more damage, and it's going to die anyway, right? So this, I really like this card. I think this is going to be, it's your dream trick in red. First of all, limited and sealed. It's an awesome trick in there. It's standard, if there's going to be an aggressive red deck, and there usually is an aggressive red deck when the meta kind of switches over at when a set releases, because aggressive is just what are the most aggressive cards, 60 cards, put them in a deck, play that deck, and this makes that cut in my opinion. So invigorated rampage, solid red card. Kari Zev, Skyship Raider, is generic and a red for a rare legendary creature, human pirate, and her little buddy Raghavan. Raghavan. I don't know if you can see in that picture very easily, but he is wearing goggles. They're kind of pulled up in this picture, I think, but her little monkey friend is wearing goggles, and that makes him awesome. We'll continue about her, though. She's a 1/3 with First Strike and Menace, so she kills all the 1 toughness things with no difficulties, but the way to look at her, in my opinion, so we'll continue. She has whenever Kari Zev, Skyship Raider attacks, create a legendary 2/1 red monkey creature token named Raghavan that's tapped and attacking. Exile that token at the end of combat. So the way to look at her, in my opinion, is a 3/4 split across 2 creatures. Right? She's a 1/3 on her own, so she's gonna live through shock, all that kind of stuff. But the menace, so she herself is gonna hit. So if I want to play our last card, if I want to play Invigorated Rampage on her, okay, that seems good. Her and Raghavan also seems good, right? Somebody's going to chump Raghavan with a servo. Okay, turn him into a 4/1 with trample. Turn Kari Zev into a 3/3 with First Strike and trample. That seems pretty good. I would love to do that sometime. But Kari Zev, in our red deck, I think she would be there because she's going to be multiple turns of getting in, and she's multiple creatures. She's 1 card, but she's multiple creatures. Because if you're holding her back on defense, you're losing. She's not made... she's 1/3 menace, First Strike, so she's kind of made a block, but you want to turn her sideways, right? She's 2 creatures on 1 card. And I think that is a good thing. So she has menace on her own. So to block Kari Zev... so you're going to play 1 card, Kari Zev, Skyship Raider. If your opponent wants to prevent all the damage that card would do to them, they need to have 3 creatures in play. 1 to block Raghavan, 2 to block Kari Zev. Right? Think of it that way. To block 1 card, they need 3. Think of it like that. So obviously, limited, yes. Sealed, yes. Draft, yes. Standard, I think this will get there in standard in an aggressive red deck, especially right out of the gate with a new meta, with the new standard coming out. Past that, don't see really, but this is something I want to play in an aggressive red deck. So, Kari Zev, Skyship Raider, I'm a fan. And now, her expertise. Kari Zev's expertise is 1 generic mana and 2 red. Gain control of target creature or vehicle until end of turn. Untap it, it gains haste until end of turn. You may cast a card with converted mana cost 2 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. I play Kari Zev's expertise. I take your big ol' thing. I give it +4/+0 and trample. Have fun. That's just one thing you could do with this. There's a number of other things. We'll get to one later as well that you could do with this. We can just pretty much take their entire board with just Kari Zev's expertise. But you don't want to play too many threaten effects because you need to have threats of your own, right? Threaten effect is you steal their creatures. What this does is called a threaten effect. Again, just like all the other expertise, like we've said before, cost-reducing effects, stuff that let you reduce the cost of spells, whether it's improvise or this, where you just get to cast a card for free, have always been good, have always been broken. Well, not always, but they've been overused in the past and underestimated. Well, I mean, the design has been overused because they used it once, it was broken. They used it twice, it's still broken. And then they used it again here, so we'll see whether it was good. It will be good in my opinion, but Kari Zev's expertise, love it, just like all the expertises. Always, yes, standard, I think it's going to get there again, just like the other 3 we've talked about already. Just a solid, good old time. It's a good time. Kari Zev's expertise. Play it, pick it, draft it, have fun. Last new sailback. As a 4 generic mana and a red for a common creature lizard that's a 5/4. You need them big creatures on the ground. When your aggro runs out, when your 3/1s and your 2/1 first striker guys can't get past their big blockers, sometimes the 5/4 can. You know, I'm going to take maybe 2 of these as my 5-drop in red. I wouldn't do more than that because I don't want to be too heavy. I still want to be fairly aggro, but like this is a curve topper. I'm happy with that. If I didn't get to the uncommon giants, this guy's fine as well. Doesn't have the haste or the trample, but if this guy's going to chip away at their blockers, you're going to have to multi-block it or just sacrifice something in front of it every turn, basically. But I like Last New Sailback. It's a good value creature. You know, like I said, they can't all be Karizev. They can't all be the super high-end cards. There's going to be, like we've said in other ones, favorite saying, there's good cards, there's bad cards. This one's right here, right? Last New Sailback is solid. Nothing special, but solid body for the cost. Lightning Runner. Is 3 generic mana and 2 red for a mythic creature human warrior that has double strike and haste. Says it's 2/2. Whenever Lightning Runner attacks, you get 2 energy. When you then you may pay it's 8 energy. If you pay 8 energy, untap all creatures you control, and after this phase, there is an additional combat phase. So I'm gonna attack. I have 6 energy already. I'm gonna attack. I get 2 more. Okay, I'm gonna pay 8. So there's this combat, and then there's going to be another one. So do you want to block me this combat and possibly take less next combat? Or how do you want to play it, right? Oftentimes, it can be just that kind of effect can just be a win more. Because if I'm your opponent in that I want to block your best creatures or your highest power creatures so that potentially they won't be killing me in that second combat. If I block your little things and you trick me and kill my blockers, your best creatures like Lightning Runner here are going to kill me in that second combat. But again, just magical Christmas land here. Lightning Runner, double strike haste, so 2/2 double strike. If I give it +4/+0 and trample, it's going to be a 6/2 double strike haste trample. And if you block with a 4/4, the first strike kills it. It does 2 damage, like 6 first strike and trample. So 4 kills it, 2 tramples over, and the other full 6 tramples over. So that's just 8 from this, and I killed your 4 toughness creature. So potentially this could kill a like Metalwork Colossus if it wanted to, you know. So it could be a real good card if you get some good pump with it. Because just on its own, it's a 2/2 double strike haste. So X3, a 2/3 kills it, right? So have cards to support this is what you want. So it's math 2/3 double strike, so it's going to do 2 to the 2/3 on first strike. Then on the regular combat damage resolves, they're going to do 2 to each other, and the 2/3 is going to kill Lightning Runner. But if you have some of that pump in your hand when you play Lightning Runner, or when you attack with Lightning Runner, boy, you're going to have a good time. Lightning Runner, like most mythics, I'm happy to play it in sealed, draft, whatever. I did pull this in one of my sealed pools, but then I got like 2 other playable red cards, so I couldn't, it's double red, I couldn't really splash for it. But in that aggressive red deck, this is a little expensive, but it's going to usually be devastating when it comes down. Because, well, those players that are playing at the Pro Tour and stuff, that are going to have this, they're going to have the energy decks, they want to play this, and then they're going to have our +4/+0 trample card in their hand, play that on it, just have a good time with it, really. This could potentially be one of, maybe a 2 of as a curve topper in that aggressive red deck in Standard, but it's pushing for the cost. It needs help to be the best. To be the best it can be, it needs help. And while I do like it, and definitely like in the limited formats, in Standard, it might be a little too expensive. It's still a really good card, but just too expensive to make that cut into the best cards in the game that are in Standard. Right? Pia's Revolution. This is one of the first cards spoiled. People got really excited about. Pia's Revolution says it's 2 generic mana and a red for a rare enchantment that says whenever a non-token artifact is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, return that card to your hand unless target opponent has Pia's Revolution, deal 3 damage to him or her. So if you have some kind of like sack artifact, bring back artifact combo thing, your opponent can just stop that by taking 3. So if that's your winning the game thing and I can take a bolt to stop it, I'm going to take the bolt. Like we said earlier, I might have been in our other set review, I was in our black set review, you never want to give your opponent the choice. I remember this card looks awesome, right? Oh, I'm just going to sack things, my opponent's going to take bolts, or I'm going to get this back and continue doing awesome things, but your opponent's going to make the choice that's worst for you, right? I played with the Black-White God back in the day, and it was basically the same thing, but for creatures. It's like, when a creature dies, you get it back to your hand unless your opponent takes 2 or 3. Athreos, God of the Dead, I think it was called, was the black-white god from Theros. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to play this aggressive deck, and if they kill it, I just get it back, and I can play it back again. But people always did what was best for them and worst for me, which often involved me losing, surprisingly. So this is the same thing, but for artifacts. And this doesn't even have a big indestructible body attached to it, right? This can die just as easily. So I really... Unfortunately, I would love to see this, because Pia's Revolution and Chandras Revolution, if you set them side by side, it's the same art. They just continue left to right with the art. I would love to see this do something, but giving your opponent choice is never something you want to do, especially in an aggressive deck. It's just, unfortunately, not good enough, I don't think. Limited? Oh, sorry. That was just for my standard, it's just not good enough. Limited... if you... I would play 1 copy of this if I drafted, say, a number of implements. Like the black or black and red, if you're playing that, you draft a black implement, makes your opponent discard a card. The blue implement that lets you draw cards. If you have maybe like 2 of each of those in this, that'd be good. But that's a lot of artifacts, and you don't have a lot of room for other your burn spells and your removal spells and stuff then. So maybe then I would play a copy of this in limited, but like I said, or if you have a really heavy creature artifacts, like good creature artifact spells to play, then maybe play this. But normally, and only in this set, do you have enough artifact creatures to really fuel this that well. But even then, I'd be really picky about playing this. I feel like if I'm making that kind of deck, this would be one of my first cuts, unfortunately. Just because, like I said, giving your opponent the decision. Precise Strike. So we had our Trample trick for 2 mana. This is our red First Strike trick. It's 1 red mana for a common instant that says target creature gets +1/+0 and gains First Strike until end of turn. So, like I said, First Strike tricks, like I said earlier, let you win combat. Trample tricks let you get over damage. This is going to be the thing where, okay, my opponent's attacking because, I have 2 2s and they have 3 3s. I'm going to play this, kill their thing. It's going to let me win combat there. That's what this card is going to do. It's solid. You can play it on the offensive, bait your opponent into blocking. Like I've said before, make your opponent have it. If you're on the backside, if somebody attacks you the 2/2 and you have a 3/3, block it. Just do it. Make them have Precise Strike. Make them use Precise Strike. Make them get it out of their hand, right? Like I said, I think it's a good card. I'm going to gladly play at least one of these. If I get 2, I could potentially play 2 as well. Depends what else I get. But I would be okay with playing up to 2 of these. It's a good card, limited. These kind of effects have never been good enough, since I've been playing anyway, to make any kind of impact in standard. But limited, your drafts, your sealed events, definitely play it and be happy about it and have a good time. Quicksmith Rebel. This guy I really like. 3 generic mana and a red for a rare creature. That's a human artificer. Is a 3/2. When Quicksmith Rebel enters the battlefield, target artifact you control gains this artifact, deals 2 damage to target creature or player for as long as you control Quicksmith Rebel. I was playing against someone who I think kind of misplayed this. They forgot that their artifact that they had pseudo enchanted with their Quicksmith Rebel had that on it. Because boy, they could have killed me real quick. Just by, they attack, you block, they tap and do 2 damage to the creature that blocked to kill it. End of every turn, shock you, shock you, shock you, shock you. Like, you can easily get 4 to 8 damage off of just shock, 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 right? You can, if you have the Paradox engine, I think it's called, that says when you play a spell, untap something, shock you, play a spell, untap, shock you. Or that kills a 4 toughness creature just doing that as well. I really enjoy Quicksmith Rebel. I could see this actually getting there because in a standard format that has like a red artifact heavy theme to it, because this guy's not legendary. You could load your board up with artifacts and a few of these and shock your opponent to death over a few real quick turns. Keep in mind, if this guy dies, that artifact loses that ability. Obviously, as long as you control Quicksmith Rebel right there at the bottom. But real good card. I like it. Definitely, if I'm talking about it in Standard again, play it in Limited, play it in Draft, play it in Sealed. I really, like I've said a few times now, really like this card. It's awesome, just aggressive card, because then you get in those board stalls in limited formats, in drafts and in sealed, and this just helps you break right out of those. Oop, almost dropped my phone. But that is Quicksmith Rebel. Pick it, play it, have fun. Ravenous Intruder. Generic and a red mana for a 1/2. That's uncommon creature gremlin. This has sacrifice an artifact. Ravenous Intruder gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Note you can do that at instant speed. So I love how, if you look at the art, he's eating the Masterpiece Soul Ring. Stop doing that to Soul Ring, Ravenous Intruder. So let's take a look at the flavor text here. I've made some fine acquisitions of late, so I'm planning to make commensurate improvements to my security systems. I have a consultant coming tomorrow. This is Kurna Majan Luminary League. So I'm guessing that's maybe the person who made the Masterpiece Soul Ring or something like that, or they bought it recently, but now the gremlin's eating it. Okay. But no, I really like this card because, you know, you have your army of servos. You can swing in with everybody. If they don't block Ravenous Intruder does 7 damage to them. Right? And the big thing about this, this would be even okay if it just gave +2/+0 when you sacked an artifact. But this gives +2/+2. This pumps the toughness. This is going to live through combat a lot when you sacrifice those artifacts to it. This would be, I would love, in like a red X artifact deck, to draft this guy. Love it. Hopefully have some Fabricate in there, like a red-white with some Fabricate triggers, Psalm's Expertise to make a bunch of servos, Whirler Maker to make a dude, sack it to this, and it's a 3/4 that's attacking on, you know, just going to have fun. Sacrifice some implements to it, draw a card, and this gets +2/+2. There's tons of upside. Really love this. It's going to be, I would love to play this as a 2-drop in a lot of limited decks. A standard, I don't know if it's going to make it. Just because, like I said, in standard, your removal suite, you're just destroy that spells. There's so many more of those out there that I don't think this is strong enough to get through those, unfortunately. But limited, just yes. Yes, yes, please, all of the Ravenous Intruders. Reckless Racer is a 2 generic mana and a red for a uncommon creature human pilot with first strike. Whenever a Reckless Racer becomes tapped, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. So it's Rummage. It's not Loot, it's Rummage. With Loot, you draw a card and then get to discard. With this one, you discard a card, and if you do, you can draw a card. With Loot, you get to pick the worst of... So with Loot, it's a little bit better, just for people who aren't as familiar. You get to, with looting, you draw a card, and then discard the worst of your now... Say you had 3 cards in your hand, loot, you draw, and discard the worst of your 4. With Rummage, you have 3 cards in your hand, discard the worst of these 3, and then draw. So it's not quite as good, but for red, you can't ask for much more than red. 2/3 for 3 with first strike. This is kind of our 2/3 for 3 cycle that we've seen about. This one has first strike. We've had Menace, Vigilance. This one has first strike. I'm happy for this. Like I said, I've been happy paying for all the others. Happy paying for this guy. It's a 2/3 first strike with upside. Good on defense. Good on offense, especially if you can pump them on either side. But I am happy playing Reckless Racer, as happy as I've been playing all the other 2/3s. Release the Gremlins. I love this card. The art, at least, I love this card. Is a XX red for a rare sorcery. It says destroy X target artifacts, create X 2/2 red gremlin creature tokens. I think, at least in my pre-release, people were kind of underestimating this card, in my opinion. If this card just said, like we had the card earlier, it said 2 generic and a red, destroy target artifact. Okay. This card says 2 generic and a red, destroy target artifact, create a 2/2 gremlin. This is just better than that, isn't it? Right? And then if you have multiples, and this is late in the game, you can, you know, for 7 mana, destroy 3 target artifacts, create 3 2/2 red gremlin creature tokens. That's fine. I'd be happy paying that. So don't look at it as something that, oh, it's XX and I gotta destroy something. Look at it at each scale. So 5 mana, destroy 2 artifacts, get 4 power and toughness on the board. That seems fine. I'm happy with that, right? Keep in mind, It says destroy X target artifacts, not up to. So if, you know, you target something, an artifact of theirs, and they sacrifice it, the whole thing fizzles, and you don't get to do anything because one of the targets is gone. So keep that in mind. But limited draft, I would take one of these. I would value this as the same as I would value any other artifact removal, right? I would main deck a copy, right? I wouldn't first pick this if I got a good creature. Like there are uncommon creatures I definitely take above this card if it was first pack. If I'm in red already and I'm lacking a little bit of artifact removal, I'd take this and I'd be happy about it. Don't think it's good enough to get there in standard because it's too expensive for the effect in standard. But in limited, I'm happy to pay for this guy. Pick it, play it, have fun. Scrapper Champion is 3 generic mana and a red for a creature that's human artificer. It's uncommon. It's a 2/2. Has double strike. And when it enters the battlefield, you get 2 energy. When it attacks, you may pay 2 energy. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Keep in mind that's only something you can do once. When it attacks, okay, it's attacking. Did you want to pay 2 energy? Yes. You can't. Okay, it's attacking. Do you want to pay 2 energy 4 times? Yes. You can't do that. You can only do it once. So you can make it a 3/3 double strike, and then a 4/4 double strike, and then a 5/5 double strike. So if you're playing against this, keep that in mind. So you can't block this with your 2/3 if your opponent has the energy up and still win combat, and you have to block it with your 3/4. In limited and sealed, it's going to be your aggressive red creature. It's going to be a good card for you. I love to see the amount of double strike in this set. Like we saw a bunch of the white cards with a couple of white cards with double strike on them. You can make a real good aggressive red-white deck in this set in limited. Sealed, again, I just don't think it's quite good enough to get... Or, sorry, sealed is good enough. Sealed, draft, yes, 100%. Like I said, this would be one of the uncommon creatures I'd be happy taking over Release of Gremlins. Standard, I don't think it's good enough to get there. But sealed, I am more than happy to play this guy. Girl, sorry, like I said, I use guy as a generic term. And just, again, I've said this a few times, but the art in this set, you know, we had Shadows of Innistrad. It was fun. We had Return to Zendikar, Battle for Zendikar, but just there's so much just grays and whites and plain looking cards. The color, so much color in this set. Or in this block. I'm so happy to see that. But so yeah, get back to these cards. Sorry, in standard, not quite getting there. In draft or sealed, good solid card. Shock. So if I haven't said it already, there are about, I think, around 93 creatures in this set, in Aether Revolt. Of those, with the toughness printed on the card, so barring Revolt triggers and that kind of thing, with the toughness printed on the card, Shock kills over 50 of them. Get Shocks. We will see it in Standard, because Shock is decent. It's decent red removal. It does the last 2 damage. You got a couple Shocks in your hand, opponent's at 4, you just win. For those of you that don't know, Shock is, for 1 red mana, it's a common instant. It deals 2 damage to target creature or player. So with over half the creatures in this set only having 2 toughness, this kills over half the creatures out there. It is an instant that lets you trick combat. You know, I have a 2/3 blocking their 4/4, I'm going to kill their 4/4. Right? Yes, it's 2 for 1ing me, but I'd rather kill their 4/4 than take 4 next turn. Right, because my 2/3 is dead. Or just, you can hit him in the face. I've always liked Shock. I pulled 2 when I was doing one of my pre-release decks. I played both. I might even play up to 3 in a limited environment, just because that's 6 damage to somebody. That's almost a third of their life total. That kills a 6/6 in the worst case scenario if I somehow have all 3 stuck in my hand. But I've always liked Shock. I will continue to be happy to play Shock. Like I said, we're going to see it in Standard. It's not good enough to see Modern. It's never been. But, well, again, since I've been playing for the last 5 or 6 years. But I like Shock. Pick it, play it, have fun. Siege Modification. So this is, when we talk about artifacts, we'll see a card called Consulate. Well, let's go over Siege Modification first. Siege Modification is generic mana and 2 red for an uncommon enchantment aura. It says enchant creature or vehicle. As long as it's as enchanted permanent is a vehicle, it's a creature in addition to its other types. Enchanted creature gets +3/+0 and has first strike. So there's a vehicle. It's 1 generic mana for a 7/11 that has crew 6 though, so it's gonna be really difficult to turn this vehicle into a creature so that it can attack. because you need to crew it with 6 power worth of creatures. So the magical Christmas land on that guy is play that turn 1, play this turn 3, and have a 10-11 flying, or sorry, just a 10-11 first strike. And tell your opponent to scoop right then and there unless they have artifact removal. That's, like I said, with the white version of this card, they gave it +2/+2 in flying. I never saw this one, I don't think, happen at my pre-release. But I saw the white one happen once, twice. But that's relying on a few cards. I would only play one of these. It's an uncommon, so when you're sealed, you might not get more than one. And in draft, I wouldn't feel comfortable taking more than one. Like, it's not as bad because it's a lot cheaper. So +3/+0 on first strike on something that's aggressive already could be really good. If you put someone on the double strike creatures, could be really good. But I'd rather take some removal over this, even though this is kind of pseudo removal. But it's so many 2-for-1s you by killing a creature, and anyway. If I have some vehicles that are already good that I'm already playing, then I would play siege modification. But only if the vehicles are good on their own. Like the name of the train that I forget, so it looks like a rhino, so I call it Rhino Train. Ardar Express, Looter Scooter, the Copter, Smuggler's Copter. Well, how did I forget that? Or any of or some of the new cards. Heart of Kirin, put this on Heart of Kirin. Ugh, that's pretty good. Like, the vehicles that are already good on their own, this makes better, in my opinion. I'm not going to play bad vehicles in order to play this card, right? If maybe this gets into Standard, but Standard has tends to be afraid of being 2-for-1. Especially because we have some real good removal in right now. Like, Fatal Push kills that Dreadnought, kills your 10-11 for 1 black mana because it's a cheap card because it costs you 1. Right? And Fatal Push is going to be all over Standard. So, but definitely, like, I would play one of these in a sealed event if I already have some good vehicles. But that's as far as I see it going. Sweatworks Brawler is 3 generic mana and a red for a common creature that's a human artificer. It has Improvise and is a 3/3 with Menace. I played this guy and I was happy about it. Often played him for 3. 3/3 for 3. Like, at worst, this is a Hill Giant with Menace. That's fine. 3/3 for 4 with Menace. That's fine. I play this guy for 3 a lot of the times. That's even better. So if you're fine with playing the base creature on its own and you just get upside from it with Improvise, you just want to play it more. Not good enough to make Standard, but sealed, I'm happy playing this guy. I did play this guy and I was happy with it. I got a number of Menace creatures in my sealed pool when I was playing my red deck, and that mechanic is pretty good when you have a number of those guys out. Opponent has 2 blockers, you have 2 Menace creatures. They can block 1 or take a bunch. So, well, they can block 1 and take a bunch, basically. But Sweatworks Brawler, solid card. I like it. Pick it, play it, have fun. Wrangle. So this is one of the cheapest threat effects I've seen in a long time. The Wrangle is a generic mana and a red. It's also our last red card of the set. It's a generic mana and a red for a common sorcery. It says gain control of target creature with power 4 or less until end of turn. Untap that creature. It gains haste until end of turn. So what I want to do, I can play Kari Zev's Expertise, take a creature of yours. Off that, I can cast a card that costs 2 or less. Wrangle here. So I can take one creature, then I can take another creature, then I'm going to hit you in the face. Hope that's okay. This threaten kind of effects, the only reason Kari Zev, well, not the only reason, but Kari Zev's Expertise is going to see play because it lets you cast a free spell. If it didn't have that, well, I don't think it wouldn't see play. Threaten effects have been printed before and they didn't see play. Wrangle, even though it's one of the cheapest ones I've seen in a long time, I don't think it's going to see play because it's more limited in its scope, power 4 or less. You can't take something real big, even though there's not, like you take an Ishkana. You could take a few things in Standard with it. But we'll see. I just don't think it's quite there. I don't want to be playing permanent threats. Unless Wrangle wins you the game, I don't necessarily want to play it in Standard. But Limited, these effects are usually pretty good in Limited. Like, I would play one of this for sure. I wouldn't play multiples, because if I play multiples of these, that means I'm not playing some creatures or removal. And I would rather have some blockers, some permanents on my side of the board than attack them once with one of their things. Right? So Wrangle, it's okay. I wouldn't play more than a one of, so it's all right. That, like I said, that is our last red card of this set. So, like I said, do you agree with my assessments of these cards? I am not a pro by any means. I'll never say I'm a pro. But if you disagreed with me or if you agreed with me, I'd love to hear your comments down below. Also, if you enjoyed the video, like, share, subscribe, do everything that lets other people know that we exist and that lets you keep watching our videos when we post new ones. We still have our green, multicolored, and artifacts to go, and there are a lot of artifacts in this set. Makes sense that it's Aether Revolt. So you can also follow us right there on twitch.tv/Dave865 when I stream, at Dave2619 on Twitter, because we'll announce on there when we post up new videos or when I'm going to stream. But yeah, thanks for spending some time with me today, guys. That's all I got for our red cards. Like I said, if you enjoyed it, let me know. If not, let me know that as well. How I can improve, what other videos you would like me to post, let me know. But thanks for spending some time with me today. Have fun with these cards, have fun with this set, and have a good rest of your day.